Billy and his fiancée Jessica are up early
Hey, Billy, your protein shake's ready.
and preparing for a party.
How you doing?
Good.
So, party time. So y'all excited?
I am excited.
It's gonna be stressful.
But it's gonna be fun.
Billy's a world-famous treasure hunter, but he's almost as well known for his annual costume party.
We get to see everyone that we do business with. Every year, it just gets bigger and bigger.
The party's still a week away, but Billy's house is packed with valuable artifacts, making party-proofing a big job.
It's like child-proofing for adults, because you gotta remember they're in costumes and they turn around and something's knocked out and smashed. This is my favorite shrunken head in my collection. So I'm gonna move it way back here, out of the way. This one is, this is an Ojibwe war club. All these lines represent battles. This means this was used to kill somebody, and I paid somewhere over $30,000 for it. And the value of this is well over 100, and that's why it's gotta be put away.
And while Jessica stows the valuables, Billy gets back to work, hunting for new treasures.
The Indiana Jones of today is on the internet and the phone all day. I'm looking for artifacts that are great, that are beautiful. I also love oddities and curiosities from around the world. Just strange, strange things with great historical stories.
But this time, something freaky's caught his eye.
Wow, that's amazing.
A shrunken human body
That's pretty cool.
that he made a $10,000 offer on yesterday has just been accepted.
Oh my God.
Shrunken human bodies were a common sideshow attraction in the 1900s, but they were all fake and made of paper or animal skin. Real shrunken bodies are rare, and only a handful are known to exist. Billy's convinced he's bought the genuine article,
I mean, it looks real to me.
but until it's in his hands, it can't be confirmed.
Sometimes you act too quickly, and the next thing you know, what you've got is a reproduction or a fake or a tourist piece. I mean, I have a number of these.
And they're all tucked away in his cabinet of mistakes to remind him of the cutthroat world of collecting.
These are shelves filled with mistakes, and it's supposed to be a medieval chastity belt, but when you see this pictured in a catalog, it looked old, and when I got it, this is a reproduction. This is a copy of a Fijian priest kava dish. They would put kava in this and drink it, and it would let them go into kind of a state, and this would have been worth probably about $250,000 to $300,000 if it was real.
Is Billy's shrunken human body the next addition to his cabinet?
I've made mistakes before and I've been burned, but I'm willing to take the gamble.
Billy can't wait to find out. For now, party planning's on hold. He and Jessica are in New York to pick up the shrunken body. Its former owner has left it at Billy's hotel.
How are you?
Hi, good afternoon.
I've got a box here, I think, under Bill Jamieson.
Like a kid at Christmas, Billy wants to open it right away.
I like his haircut.
I think I know that guy.
Kind of wild, eh? The strange things that come into your hotel, right?
Are we expecting more packages?
But you may have some more. Now that I've seen it, I believe it's 100% real.
It may be real, but Billy hasn't a clue where the body came from or who it is. He needs an expert opinion.
Henry!
So he asks his friend and respected natural historian, Henry Galliano.
I would classify Bill as one of my most unusual friends. The very things that he's attracted to is what he is. You are what you collect.
And Billy's counting on Henry to shed some light on this unusual item.
This is definitely one of the most interesting things I've ever come across.
And I'm just going to speak freely. A lot of these things are like done for tourists, especially in Central America. You know what? You can get a monkey and do this with it. There's nothing about this except for the ear. The ear is the only thing that looks authentic. But the nostril doesn't look human. You can get rawhide and sculpt it, and you could create similar. I would say this is not real at all.
I'm very disappointed.
If Henry's right, Billy's just blown 10 grand on a new addition to his cabinet of mistakes. Billy Jamieson's rare shrunken human body has just been called a fake.
I think I know that guy.
I would say this is not real at all.
Really? I'm very disappointed.
But he's still not convinced that it's a hoax.
I think now what I have to do is find someone else that's an expert to do further research on it.
And those experts are Robert Carnero and Layla Williamson, former curators at the Museum of Natural History in New York.
I've got something really interesting here to show you.
Good.
Well, I've never seen anything like this. It's definitely very unusual.
And here's the $10,000 question.
First off, do you believe this is human? What's your feeling?
Well, the eyebrows look good. The ears look pretty good, too. I think this would suggest that it is really human.
Billy's relieved, but the plot thickens.
Was this done by the tribe? Did they shrink bodies ever?
No, there's no record at all of them having shrunk an entire body.
Only the Shuar Indians of Ecuador shrank human heads. But tourism created a morbid market for forgeries, and people with the know-how, like morticians or doctors, shrank heads and bodies.
Does it kind of have a look like a medical doctor would seal up
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. Look at the sutures in the back. This is a stitch that surgeons use in stitching up an incision. But someone who did this wasn't the first time they'd done it.
If he's right, this body may have been created by a doctor for the tourist trade. Billy's now heard two opposing opinions. So is it human or not? He's determined to solve the mystery.
We're on our way to Maxim DNA Labs in Guelph, Ontario, where I'm going to have a sample taken from this shrunken body I have. And first thing we want to do is see if it's human or not.
Maxim is Canada's largest forensic DNA testing lab, and Martin Westacott is the chief investigator.
Hi. Bill Jamieson, how are you?
Come on in.
Hey, thanks for seeing me. So, I've got something very interesting to show you. It's an adult woman shrunk to about 12 inches.
Well, we certainly don't get samples like this every day.
How do you take DNA from a specimen like this to determine that it's human?
We'll take a small sample from her arm area, and we'll also take a small sample from the back of her head, and we'll take both those samples through the DNA process.
So once you take a millimeter of the skin, 100%, you can tell me if it's human or not.
Correct.
DNA samples are carefully shaved from the body's dried out skin. The actual tests will take time, but Martin is already worried about the results.
Because of the age of the item, and potentially also what has happened to the item, that can affect our ability to detect the human DNA. It can potentially cause us to not get a result.
Billy heads home to Toronto, where he sends an email to a global network of dealers asking for any information about shrunken bodies. Then it's back to work, prepping for the party, now just 2 days away.
This place holds about 250, 300 people comfortably, but we have a guest list between 500 and 600, and I can't say no to anybody. Why? Because I'm nuts. You want to take them down in the coffin, Bob?
Yeah, and there's no room for error.
We got to move the mummy downstairs and put him in a glass case so no one can spill wine on him. Where do you think I should put this one, rather than leave it in here? I always worry, and thank God Jessica's here to keep me calm and help me through this.
I honestly think that that might be the safest place.
Sorry, Greg.
Suddenly, Billy gets a call.
Bill Jamieson, can I help you?
It's the DNA lab in Guelph calling, sooner than expected.
Hi, Billy. It's Martin Westacott from Maxim.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And Martin has good news about Billy's shrunken body.
We were pleasantly surprised. We were able to determine that it's definitely human.
Billy's thrilled.
It's still business as usual. Boy, am I excited. You can't make this stuff up.
His shrunken body is the real deal.
The greatest thing about collecting this is you're collecting history. And it's a lot of history that nobody knows.
And that includes who shrunk the body. The mystery continues. Treasure trader Billy Jamieson is trying to solve a mystery. He spent thousands on a shrunken body he wasn't sure was human,
I would say this is not real at all.
and then had a DNA lab confirm it.
Definitely human.
But the real mystery is, who shrunk it? For now, his hunt for answers is on hold. He and Jessica have come to Chicago for an art auction, which promises to be full of surprises.
We are off to Potter Auctions. It's a magic auction, and we're going to see Gabe, who's one of the owners, and an expert on 19th and 20th century magicians.
The jewels of this auction are vintage posters that promoted magician shows and their notoriety. One poster in particular has caught Billy's eye.
What's this poster here?
Well, it's a little bit deceptive in a way. Chung Ling Soo was not Chinese. His name was William Robinson. He was Scottish, had a big handlebar mustache. He was from Brooklyn, New York.
Robinson shaved his head and mustache and became a famous magician of the early 20th century, until a trick misfired. He took a bullet in the chest and died, right on stage.
So he sadly died doing what he liked doing the best.
Yeah, but nobody had checked the gun, and
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an interesting story.
We are ready to proceed, and we will open lot number 1 at $50. Any bids?
I have 175.
I have 175 on the internet. I have 200 on the floor.
But as the auction begins, Billy's more interested in eyeballing the competition.
I'm looking around the room, seeing who the bidders are,
$750 for 800.
seeing who's bidding on the phones, wondering who the buyers are.
900.
900, 950.
950.
950, I believe it's yours. Sold. Sold on the floor for $250. Sold.
Finally, the Chung Ling Soo poster is up for bid.
And we're going to start that lot at $2,000. 3,600.
The competition is intense, and Billy and Jessica have to keep pace.
You get nervous, you get excited, you get a knot in your stomach. The problem is you're on a ride.
Yes.
5. I have 225 to 50.
If I want something, I usually get it.
650. I have 650 now. 7,000. Any other bids? I'm looking for 7,500. I have 7,000. Fair warning at 7. Sold. $7,000.
I wanted to buy it because of the story, and I collect stories. I love objects with stories.
It would make my life easier if you took 2 cases like this.
As they pack up to leave Chicago, Billy checks messages. One is a big surprise.
Yeah.
Hi, Billy. This is Michael Salim from the Adventurers Club of Chicago. Hey, I read the email about your shrunken body.
Billy drops everything and heads for the club.
Hello. Hello there. Hey, Bill Jamieson.
Mike Salim, how are you?
Mike.
Welcome to the Adventurers Club.
Wow, this is amazing.
Set your stuff down over here and we'll take a walk.
Oh, for sure.
Right away.
Mike Salim, the club's treasurer, shares Billy's passion for rare relics.
But you know what that is up there, right?
A whale penis?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Don't ask me how I know. I just do.
The 100-year-old Adventurers Club has counted Teddy Roosevelt among its members, and its rooms and display cases are packed with history. But Mike's called Billy about one display in particular.
Our private collection of shrunken heads,
Wow. My God,
Give
quite a
us-
collection here, right?
and they were donated by one of our members here, Dr. Strobe.
Shrunken heads donated by a Dr. Struve.
And a shrunken body.
And a shrunken whole body there.
Now this tweaks Billy's curiosity.
Does it kind of have a look like a medical doctor would seal up
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. Look at the sutures in the back.
Would you like to see them?
I'd love to.
Billy's intrigued. The hunt to find who made his shrunken body is getting hotter. Another club member arrives with some answers.
Hey, Dave. Dave, do you want to meet Bill?
David.
Dave Brown.
It's a real pleasure to meet you.
David Brown is the great-nephew of Dr. Gustav Struve. He spent years researching his life. Born in Ecuador, Struve practiced medicine in Quito, the capital, But he also traveled into the jungle to treat Indians, including the Shuar, the only tribal culture known to shrink human heads.
His family says that he actually went into the jungles and that he had contact with the headhunting tribes, and that there he learned how to shrink heads and bodies.
Wow, it blew me away. I was shocked.
But did Dr. Struve actually do the shrinking?
Is there any evidence at all that Gustav shrunk heads or bodies?
There is. I found a letter that he wrote to his fiancée in 1939, and he was telling her that he had been to a museum that day.
Yesterday, Sunday, I spent almost all day at the museum. There were mummies from Peru, one of the small heads of a woman. It had been done by me several years ago. Wow, so he's admitting that he actually shrunk a head. Gustav admits shrinking heads in his letter. I wonder if he shrunk bodies.
It's a $10,000 question to Billy's bizarre mystery.
It's kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire.
Hello.
Billy Jamieson is in Chicago to try and solve the mystery of who made his shrunken human body.
Is there any evidence at all that Gustav shrunk heads or bodies?
There is.
And so far, Dr. Gustav Struve is the prime suspect.
Do you think he made these bodies himself?
Yeah, I can see where someone that had the skills to shrink a head would be tempted to shrink an entire body.
In fact, Dr. Struve once owned all of the world's known shrunken bodies. He sold two in 1926, donated another to Chicago's Adventurers Club, and the last has disappeared.
And this is the only photograph that I'm aware of that shows all four of the bodies together.
So, what about Billy's body? Its age, the medical sutures, the diary, it all points to Dr. Struve.
It's actually kind of looking like it could have possibly been him that might have prepared some of these shrunken bodies.
Yeah.
Is that what you feel?
I wouldn't think there'd be that many that had the skill or the desire.
But without a certificate of authenticity, Billy can't be sure. He does know that the shrunken body doesn't belong in his cabinet of mistakes.
It was an interesting adventure. I mean, I've got a complete shrunken body. It's one of only 3 or 4 that exist in the world. I just think it's pretty cool to have. I don't plan on selling it.
It's time for Billy to head home. He can't be late for his own costume party.
We know each other quite intimately.
Oh my God! We got a question. We want to know about that. I invited everybody that is in my business in the world that I know have any kind of association with got an invitation to this. They're not people that would normally dress up, but they dress up to come to this event.
And in the midst of this madness, Billy still can't refuse to lend a hand to a fellow collector.
It's in a jar. I brought some gloves.
Can you believe this? In the middle of a party, a friend of mine comes in to show me an Egyptian mummy hand in a jar. Now that's pretty fucking cool. That's wild, eh? It's definitely a mummy's hand. You can see the wrapping and everything.
Joy and sex and lust.
Looks like a little head.
Big or small, mysteries are treasure trader Billy Jamieson's true passion.
There's a million stories, and hunting for treasures is what I enjoy doing.